Welcome back to our coaching session. So what I wanted to do, for those that couldn't make the session last week, I want to go through this workbook with you so that we can focus on it and we can build upon it and we can keep reaching our goals. So with the coaching group, the intention behind it is that each week we take a look at the things that are important to us and that we use the tools of coaching by being accountable every week and checking in and doing the live coaching session each week with us, and that you're using this workbook so that you're moving forward one day at a time. Because, we've talked a lot about how it's really easy for a week to go by and then 2 weeks to go by. And then the next thing you know, there's a month that's gone by. And then, we're 6 months in and you're seeing other people having success and you're nowhere near where you wanted to be or where you intended to be. So what we want to do is we want to use today as your moving forward point and then just work through this workbook. So I'm just going to walk you through it. So the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, and feel free to pause this until you're ready to continue forward, is I want us to really think about what our fitness and our weight loss goals are on a personal level, because it's really easy to say, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to lose 50 pounds, or I want to wear, this size of a dress, or whatever that is for you. But at the end of the day, are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it to be someone that you think somebody else wants you to be? So true happiness is going to come within. So it's intrinsic motivation that we're looking for. And it's that motivation and that perseverance that's going to help you get to where you want to go. So working on yourself takes time, but it's definitely a worthy cause. And that's why we want to do this. So take a second, and I want you to write down, when you get to the place that you want to be, what would that look like? So how would you feel? What kind of things that would you be doing? What kind of clothing size would you wear? What would be getting you excited? If you love fashion, for instance, getting, off 30 pounds that you've been wanting to get off for a long time is going to create a very different shopping experience than someone who is, not interested in shopping. Maybe somebody is really interested in hiking and they know that if they lost 30 pounds, hiking next summer is going to be a very rewarding experience. So you have to decide, first of all, what makes you happy, what's going to make you happy, and then what's going to motivate you from the inside, because you're doing this for yourself. So take a second, pause this, and just brainstorm. Write down all the things that come to mind. You could actually print this out and do pictures. You can write it down. You can take the time just to figure out what it is that's important to you. So I'll let you pause. So now that you've taken some time to really think about what would bring you joy, what I want you to do now is I encourage you to take a highlighter or a different color pen, and I want you to circle the top things that are coming up for you. So let's say you wrote down 20 different things. I want you to just circle or highlight your top 3. So what are 3 things that you know would bring you so much joy? So like I said, if you love fashion and you have this shopping experience, and I say this because one of our members actually just lost a ton of weight because she's going on an international vacation and she's really excited to go shopping. So now shopping for her is going to be a very different experience. All right, so that's where you want to go with this. The next thing we want to do is we want to start getting very clear about what it is and then why we want it. So we want to figure out, what do you want to accomplish through coaching? So by having some place to check in every week, which is with me, what you want to do is you want to figure out, what am I actually working towards? So am I working towards finding happiness in my life? Am I working towards finding joy? Am I working towards feeling really fit? Am I working towards, finally reaching my weight loss goal? What is it for you that you're working towards? And again, it has to be things that are going to bring you joy and nobody else. So you could go back to that list that you made, and above that dotted line, I want you to write down the 8 things that you would like to accomplish over the next year. So I like to use a year time frame because a year is a really great way to see some big changes in your life. But you could also do this in a 3-month period or a 6-month period, or whatever works best for you. So figure that if you're doing the 75-day challenge and you want to really get clear on your goals, this is a great, form to fill out. So at the top of this, I want you to write the date, today's date, and then also write what your timeline is going to be. So it's going to be 6 months, 75 days, a year. What's that going to look like? And then take some time. So again, pause the video And above the dotted line on each number, I want you to take a second and write down what are the things that you would like to accomplish for your overall health and fitness so that you feel really good about yourself. Once you're done that, what I want you to do is just write down why you chose that goal. So again, if losing 30 pounds is important to you, 30 pounds doesn't mean anything on a scale. It's not going to motivate you when you're having a bad day. But if you really, really love shopping and you really want to go, you're so excited to find some new clothes, that's going to motivate you when you go on a trip. Or maybe you have, a big vacation coming up and you're doing some big travels. Maybe you're going away for a month and you know it's going to be a physically challenging vacation and you want to feel really good on that vacation. That is a reason to go to the gym. That is a reason to sacrifice some of the unhealthy meals that you may or may not be making. That would motivate you. If you're somebody who set a goal, maybe you want to do 10 different hikes, next summer. Remember, we have to set these goals so you have these intentions. So let's say you really love hiking. It's not enough to just really like hiking. How about for 2023, you choose 10 mountain peaks that you want to hit, whether they're simple and they're local, like doing the Chief and the Grouse Grind and Mount Shem. And there's a bunch of ones, local that we can hit because we live in a beautiful province. Write those down and say, that's my goal, to hike 10 different mountaintops. That's why I want to lose 30 pounds, because it's going to give me the freedom to be able to do that. So take a little bit of time, whether it's 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever works best for you, and just start here. So the above of the dotted line is what you want for yourself. And then after you think about what you want yourself, below that dotted line, I want you to really get deeper into the meaning of why. So now what you're going to do is you're actually going to use each one. So all those 8 that you put down. So if you look at the page before, we have 8, and I chose the number 8 so that you have some things to look forward to. Now these can be big ones and these can be really small. So you can make your happiness checklist to whatever it is. Maybe you want to read 3 books. That'll bring you joy. Maybe you want to lose 5 pounds. That'll bring you joy. Choose 8 things that are doable. Maybe it's as simple as accomplishing a task. Maybe for 30 days in a row, you want to get 10,000 steps every day. That would feel like an accomplishment for you. That would bring you joy. That would make you feel happy because by doing that, you're going to see some changes in your life. Maybe accomplishing the 75-day challenge is going to be one of those checklist boxes for you. And then when you do get there, I want you to write down that you did it and write the date. So that would be a good place to put that somewhere. So I've given you 8 pages, as you can see. So what you want to do is you want to write at the very top of that, what is that goal for you? What is that one that you put down? And then you want to do this with each one. Now, you don't have to do it all on the same day. Maybe just work on one this week. So choose, going back, I'm going to use the 30 pounds quite a bit just to play with it here. So let's say that happiness goal is to lose 30 pounds. The next question you want to ask yourself is, what will this give you? So by accomplishing that 30 pounds, by seeing that 30 pounds come off your body, what will that give you? And then I want you to write it down. You can also ask yourself the question is, what will it do for you? And write that down. And then once you've written that down, I want you to ask yourself the exact same question. So let's say I want to lose 30 pounds. And maybe your first answer is, I just want to feel better. So then you ask yourself, okay, well, what would feeling better actually do for me? And you're like, well, if I lost 30 pounds, it would actually give me the ability to move better. Okay, so what would moving better do for you? Well, maybe it would give you the confidence to do more things. Okay, so now what would having more confidence do for you? And then you start thinking about it and you're like, you know what? If I had more confidence, it might actually open up my doors because I might go do more things. So maybe, I've always wanted to have the confidence to go do some hikes locally, but I just never thought I could. By losing 30 pounds, I would actually feel better. So I'd actually have the confidence to go up and do some hikes. And then maybe, by hiking, what would that do for you? Having the confidence to go hiking. Well, when you finish, just because I do a lot of hiking myself, and I do a lot of the Grouse Grinds throughout the year, and I love outdoor adventures, I know for me that when I finish that task at the end of the day, it really does light up my brain and it really changes the way I think. And if you're doing that on a regular basis, you're taking something challenging every week, it really changes the way you view yourself and the way you view your body, the way you view your health and your fitness. So for me, when I ask myself that question, having the courage to go do that or having the confidence to do that actually brings a lot of freedom to my life. And the reason that goal is important to me is because being free is important to me. So that would generally be my end result. So it's not about losing 30 pounds. It's about having freedom in my life. And the freedom for me is to not be carrying the weight. So because I was a lot heavier not too long ago, I remember how painful it was to have that weight on my body and how it made me feel and how it affected my self-worth and how it affected, everything I did, my relationships with people, how, who I was at the gym, who I showed up as a coach. I had a lot of moments where I felt embarrassed, those are things. And so I really had to work on that. So it's not about losing 10 pounds or losing 30 pounds, or there's usually a deeper meaning. And when you can get to the deeper meaning of each one of these goals, whether you do all 8 or whether you focus on just one, by having that, it will literally change the way you look at everything. So that's why I want you to do this, because as your coach, it helps me move you forward in order to really start to think about how do we accomplish these goals and how do we move forward. Okay, so I've given you in the workbook, I've given you those 8 pages, so they're there. And then the next thing you want to do is you always want to have a way to have accountability or a way to kind of track your progress. And this is where the wheel of happiness, I call it, comes into play. Now, this wheel can be used in lots of different ways for lots of different coaches. There's a health wheel, there's a balance wheel, there's financial wheels. So what this does, if you were to think about your goals and where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if you were to take those 8 things, the reason I chose those 8 is to add it to the balance wheel. And think about just accomplishing those 8 this year. How would that affect your life? I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to say it would greatly affect your life. So what you want to do is you want to create balance in your life. So you want to understand, where am I at right now and where do I want to get to? So 1 would be where you're at. And then you give yourself a rating from 1 to 10, and 10 would be accomplishing it. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to just replace that 1 with whatever the goal is. So maybe 1 is lose 30 pounds. Maybe 2 is do a 30-day challenge of walking 10,000 steps a day. Maybe 3 is completing the 75-day challenge. Maybe 4 is, drinking water on a regular basis, making it a habit. Maybe 5 is, making sure I'm walking 30 minutes every day. 6 is getting more sleep. 7 is working on self-development. And 8 is finding ways to have more joy in my life. Or maybe 8 is where you add in, I want to do 10 hikes this year. That would actually be a really smart thing to do. Choosing something that's really tangible and easier to track, right? So the next thing you want to do is where that outer ring is. I want you to write down what that 10 would actually look like. So if you go to 1 and you write at the top of that 10, just write in, very simple, release 30 pounds. But instead of saying just release 30 pounds, know what your current number is on the scale right now, and then write down what the number is in order to get to that 30-pound loss. So going forward, moving around, so you have a very clear idea of what 10 looks like. Once you've done that, again, pause it when you need to, then you're going to give yourself a score by coloring in those boxes. So let's say, your goal is to lose 30 pounds and you're just starting out. You would be at a 1, right? Because you're just starting out. And maybe every time you get to 10 pounds, it's three extra bars that you fill in. And that lets you know that you're getting closer and closer. Same with, let's say number 8 is to do 10 hikes. On the back of the page, write down those 10 hikes. And then every time you get, color in the box. Now, what you're going to notice if you give yourself, whether it's a 3-month span or a year span, if you put this in a place where you're actually doing this on a regular basis and you're coloring in this wheel throughout your year, you're going to start to see that instead of just going day to day to day and just, getting through another day, you're actually working towards some things in your life that are going to bring you joy. And that means your life is going to start changing in a positive way, therefore bringing you more joy and happiness. Now, the thing to remember about this, and this is, I would say one of the most important things to take away from this, is this doesn't come by staying comfortable. So we have to get really uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's not about being comfortable being uncomfortable. It's constant. It's a constant feeling of uncomfortable. And when you embrace that that feeling for you and ask yourself, what does uncomfortable feel for me? What comes up for you when you're starting to feel uncomfortable? Do you get anxiety in your chest? Does your brain tell you, don't do this, it's not safe? Do you get nervous when you're trying something new or you're getting uncomfortable? Do you really need to push yourself when you're having a bad day? So you really have to ask yourself, how does being uncomfortable manifest in my own body? What is my physical response to being uncomfortable? And the more you get comfortable with that, the better you're going to feel. And, simple things when you think about fitness, especially with COVID, it was really hard for a lot of people to come back after COVID because one of the things that I got a lot of the times was that people would say, well, I need to lose weight before I come back to the gym. And it would drive me insane because it was as though they felt like they were going to be judged by coming to the gym because they had gained 30 pounds. Nobody cared if somebody had gained 30 pounds. When people walked through the doors, we were so happy to see you. It didn't matter if you gained 30 pounds or 50 pounds. Nobody cared. We just wanted to see you. And then what you need to focus on is people are just happy to have you at the studio. They're happy to see you at the gym. It's important for them to see you at the gym. So they want you there. And so getting past that first feeling of feeling uncomfortable, then you're going to start to embrace it. Then you remember, the workout, when I first start working out and it's been a hot minute, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to be sweaty. You're going to be breathing heavier. You're going to be sore the next day. But remember how good it feels at the end of the workout. You feel proud of yourself. It's like every time I go do the gross grind, I've done that gross grind probably 200 times in my life. It doesn't mean it gets easier. It's harder because I keep wanting to get a better time, or I keep pushing myself, or I keep trying to challenge myself. At no point has that gross grind ever been easy for me. Maybe when I take people up and I'm coaching, because that's not my workout. My job is to be there to support them. But when I'm going there by myself, I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable on my drive up because I know it's going to be hard. I'm uncomfortable throughout the workout because I know I'm pushing myself. And, I'm using tools where I have to get to the next tree before I can take a break. Like there's these things that I'm trying my best as well to, even as a coach, to embrace the things that make us uncomfortable. So as you start to get uncomfortable and as you start to move forward, these are things that are going to really help you. So what we want to do is, once you've taken some time, is to really print this sheet off and work with us each week. So we want to, as your coach, my job as the coach here and my job as a coach in the fitness studio is to always close the gap. And that means I'm trying to get you from where you are currently, even though that's going to be on a spectrum and it's moving, to where you truly want to get. And maybe when you get there, you're going to have a new gap that's going to open up because you're going to be like, I really want to lose 30 pounds. And we closed that gap for you and you lost those 30 pounds. And then next thing you do, you're like, okay, now what do you really want for yourself? And you're like, you know what? I actually really found that I actually loved hiking. It was, I love seeing the sunset, or I love seeing the sunrise. And it felt good, every couple of weeks to go up onto the mountains and just get that fresh air and feel good about myself. So then you're like, I want to get stronger so that I can do more challenging ones. So now we've opened up the gap again. And then we want to close that so that you can set a new goal. And by setting these goals, it creates happiness and it creates joy in your life. And that is what we want. We want to create happiness. We want to create joy. So we want to focus on these things every week. So what we want to do is we want to understand and identify, where you are, and then what that gap looks like. And then how do we get to close that gap a little bit each week? So what is that happiness goal, or what is that number on that wellness wheel or the happiness wheel that you are wanting to focus on for this week? And then the next thing you have to ask yourself, this is going to be the big piece, and this is probably the one that I call people out on the most. I don't mean it in a negative way, calling people out. I mean, I'm not afraid of adult temper tantrums. When I'm talking about action steps, it's really about helping people, push through that uncomfortable piece. And I know for myself, sometimes, I have people in my life that challenge me, and I throw adult temper tantrums because it's not always easy to get uncomfortable in that way. But the action steps, what stops you from taking these action steps, again, is that comfortable piece, because, you're fighting against, these neural pathways in your brain that are there to protect you. They don't want you to get uncomfortable. They want to keep you safe. Being safe what our body thinks is safe is not always best for us, right? Our intuition isn't always best for us. Our intuition's job is to keep us safe. So if your body is saying don't do the grouse grind because it's hard, you're going to miss out on all the rewards that come from getting to the top of the mountain. You're going to miss out on the rewards of the confidence. You're going to miss out on the rewards of like the Stairmaster from Hell workout, because you're going to have stronger legs. You're going to feel better about yourself. Those action steps are hard. And they're going to be that emotional piece for a lot of people that you have to say, this is my barrier and this is my gap. And the only way I close that gap is by actually taking action steps that close that gap. And that is something that you have to work on. And my job is to help you get there. So ask yourself, if my goal, and going back to this 30 pounds thing, and I'm going to keep around the hiking thing just because, hiking is beautiful. So if your goal is happiness and that why for you is to, feel the benefits of what it feels like to have the confidence and the freedom to enjoy hiking next year, because you love to be outside and you love to be around the mountains like I do, then you have to ask yourself, okay, so if this is truly what I want and this is truly important to me, what do I need to do? Well, if you think about it and you think about it in terms of fitness, well, you need to work out, and you need to work out on a regular basis. So you need to be working out about 4 or 5 times a week. And you have 168 hours a week. How hard is it to fit in 5 hours a week, right? It's not that hard. The only thing that's hard, the only thing that gets in your way is you. So these are your action steps that you need to take. So then you write those action steps down. I need to do my cardio workout on Monday. I need to make sure I'm doing a strength workout on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm going to make sure I do some kind of mobility. Maybe Monday, maybe another day I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to do something. So, an easy way to train your cardio system, if you like hiking, is to go running, because you're outside, you're physical. Or go find a hike once a week that maybe isn't something that you have to go far away for, but maybe something that's going to challenge you, right? Doing something every week. So what action steps are you going to take this week? And then write those down. And then you have to follow through. That's on you. Then the next thing you need to make sure that you're very aware of is, what am I actually struggling with this week? So where am I at? So if I know these are things I need to do, what's getting in my way? Usually it's our mindset, it's our thought process. What is getting in your way? So if you're really struggling with, feeling tired or feeling low, maybe you need to ask yourself, okay, is it really my mindset, or am I just eating really crappy food, or are my habits not serving me? One of the things that I've recently done for the 75-day challenge is I got rid of the TV. It has opened up so many more avenues for growth for me, for spending time doing things that I love, for working out more, for coaching more, for spending time with family and friends. So I just didn't want to spend 2 or 3 hours a night watching TV and honestly wasting my life. I feel, for me personally, it's a waste of time. And there's things that are more important to me, like, spending time skiing with a friend, or going out and, having fun with, my family members, or going for a walk with my dog. Simple things, right? So the next piece for that is you have to start asking yourself, well, how do I overcome that struggle for that? Do I need to call myself out? Do I need to actually get real with who I am? And sometimes our ego doesn't want to allow us to do that. I recently just had a personal experience where I realized I was actually the one that was getting in the way. And it was a bit of an eye-opener for me. And I have to say, I'm pretty quick to say I'm sorry or if I've done something wrong. But for this particular situation, I really struggled with it. And but when I had that moment of acknowledgement, it actually is now, I feel it's going to open up way bigger doors for me, because I'm saying I was wrong. I chose the situation and I looked at it from, a light that wasn't serving for me. So how do I overcome this struggle? And sometimes you have to do this inner work and figure out, what am I fighting with? And then you want to ask yourself, well, how do I close the gap just a little more to get from where I currently am this week? So what do I do to just close that gap a little bit? So it can sometimes be just as simple as, doing a checklist and saying, these are my 4 workouts this week, and this is exactly what I'm going to do. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to ask yourself, well, what does closing the gap a little more look like for me this week? And that's where just a super simple task sheet every week is going to help you. And this doesn't mean putting your appointments on here. This means this is your planning your outcomes every week. So what I want you to do is I want you to take some time and write down, think about for the week of this, write down somewhere in a little bubble, what it is for you. Write that, if your word was freedom, or your word was confidence, or your word was independence, or your word was, feeling good about myself, or that was your phrase, write that down. And then think about, okay, so if my true goal is to go on 10 hikes this year and to feel really confident and get that 30 pounds off, what do I have to do this week? Because if I put off this week, and then I put off another week, and I put off another week, next thing you know, spring's going to be here. And then you're nowhere near where you want to be. And then summer's going to be here, which is great hiking season. And you're going to miss that. And then you're going to try and get your hiking in fall, because you feel like you have to now. And you think it's going to bring you joy, but all you've done is create stress. And then the winter season comes, and you're probably not going to do, more a little bit of snow hiking, because you're just not prepared. So it's not just 1 week that goes by. And this is where the coaching comes into play. If you're coming into the sessions every week and we're working on this is where there's going to be a benefit for you. So what are you going to do on Monday? And what are you going to do on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday? And put something in there that you enjoy doing. So be very specific. So today is Wednesday, and then I'm talking about this. So Wednesday, I need to lift weights. You're going to write down 6:30 figure and build class at Interfit. Boom, done. And maybe Thursday is going to be your power walking day. So you're going to write down, I'm going to get 10,000 steps in on Thursday. You don't have to fill out all 4 of the check boxes. Just write down. Friday, you know what? You're like, I really love spin, but I know that I need to stretch my body. This is me shameless plugging. I need to go to my 6 a.m. Friday class and make sure that I get my stretch and I get my spin in. And then Saturday, you know what? You love your community so much. You're like, I'm going to go see my Interfit crew, and you're going to go for a workout because it's rewarding to you and it's joyful. And then Sunday, we don't need to have quote unquote recovery days. Have days where you do something for yourself that is active. So maybe it's going for a walk or a run with a friend, or maybe it's asking a friend, hey, you know what, this is my goal and I would really like to do some more hiking. How would you feel about, coming for like a little hike with me on Sunday afternoon? And then guarantee somebody who cares about you is probably going to be all over that, because it's time for you to spend with that person. And you get to enjoy them, and then you're also working towards your goal. And then if you don't know exactly what day of the week you're going to do something, but you know it needs to be done, then just write down sometime this week. You can do this with your nutrition. You can do this with your tasks. You can do this with anything. So take the time, pause this, and then plan out your weekly outcomes so that you have this. So this is where we're kind of at. And thank you for taking some time to really, take part in this and hear what I had to say. I know some people have been curious about the coaching program and understanding what it is, but and it's taking me some time to evolve it. But I wanted to go through this because there is value in coaching. And if you think about it, if you get to coach with me, it's $15 a month, which is nothing. That actually includes your taxes. So I'm offering a service for you for like $3 a week to help you get to where you want to go. So I'm giving you my time. I do this every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. And I invite you to join. And what I've done is I've opened this up for the first month. There's no charge, and you just get to take part. So I don't know, is happiness worth $3 a week to you? I think so. And I'm here as a coach and educator to help you get there. And I do hope that you work with us, and I do hope that you get to have that freedom and experience that joy that you are hoping for in your life. And I'm going to keep helping you get there. And so that's why I'm sharing this video with you. And that's where we're at. So this is a free download. You can download this little workbook and hop on in the session tonight. So maybe I'll see you guys tonight.